Hello, welcome to the Really American Podcast. Thanks for being here. I'm Chip Franklin. That's Tony Hinderman and Kenny Hess. We are part of the Really American Media Group, and we're happy to have you here. This is a tough day to start for a lot of you that have seen this earlier. It just continues to go down the slide, and people are, I think, really at a loss to how to react. If you didn't see this, President Trump posted on his True Social account a video about how he won the 2020 election and the Georgia votes and of course all that other bullshit. But at the very end of it, he added a tag, and the tag included an AI of President Obama and Michelle Obama, and you'll see it here. The reaction to it is predictable. Carolyn Levitt said it was fake outrage that we have. And of course, you don't have to be African American to be pissed, but if you are, I would imagine it's even worse. Tim Scott, the U.S. Senator, an African American, a Republican, conservative Republican who's been supportive of Trump for a long time, said it was the most racist thing he's ever seen come out of that White House, which is insinuating that he's seen other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how your friends and family are. My wife's apoplectic. She's on the phone with all her, and again, it's like you think this guy can't get worse, but he does.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those things where it's like, I think he's just pushing the envelope, right? Like seeing how much they can get away with, because at this point it's like, how many racist things has he done against the Obamas specifically? Like, we're talking about the guy who spearheaded the whole, he was born in Kenya thing.
The birther movement,
right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And now look at him circling back around, and they're trying to pull the post down and say that it's fake, it's a hoax, he didn't mean it, blah blah blah. I'm curious to see how he responds when he's actually confronted with it.
Well, I don't really think that. I mean, Carolyn Levitt said our outrage was fake, but
right.
she let me see right here. The Mediaite had a piece today.
That's the most gaslighting Carolyn Levitt bullshit. You're not mad. Your madness is made up.
You're not even really mad.
You're not really as mad as you say you are.
She is remarkably good at being a monster. I mean, you go back and you look to the press secretaries from Scaramucci to Spicer, and she's remarkable.
It takes a special kind of evil to straight up lie to people and then try to tell them that they're actually wrong. Yeah. Like, you have to be really confident in
While growing a child in her womb that she might as well sacrifice to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein so they can suck out the adrenochromes. Maybe that's the plan.
Well, so he posted this at as you saw 8:44 Eastern last night. So we're about 13 hours later now, and it's interesting. It's on the front of Drudge. And that we could do a whole show on the metamorphosis of Drudge and how he started out in the late 90s and where he is today. But that said, one of the things that's being noted is that ABC, NBC, and CBS morning shows, not one mention of it. Now, I'll give NBC a break because their whole show seems to be devoted to finding the person that kidnapped Savannah Guthrie's mother. But CNN, a little bit, they had, some people that were outraged, understandably. Joe Scarborough from Morning Joe was apoplectic. I mean, understandably. I mean, I don't know how you cannot be.
You mean the same guy who supplicated and bent the knee to Trump and went and talked to him? Now he's crying crocodile tears.
And Fox, well, look.
I'm just being antagonistic.
But that's different than what Maher did and what everybody else did. He wanted to talk. He wanted to, I think he wanted to have more access to Trump.
Right, which is understandable.
Yeah, but you can go ahead and be pissy. That's cool. I dig it.
I mean, do you want to have access?
I'm just looking I'm just kind of fucking sick of it. Like, so much. It's like, we told people for 10 plus years now, this guy's a racist, bigoted piece of shit. He's probably compromised. He's probably a pedo. We have plenty of evidence. Even if at the very, very least you give the you know, oh, he's only mentioned in the Epstein Files 38,000 times more than everyone else. He was at least aware of what was going on.
Right.
So if you're going to sit here and still be a supporter of Donald Trump at this point, then something is seriously, seriously wrong with you or the way your fucking brain formed.
Well, but I think that, I mean, you can see what you guys think about this, but I think so much of this is not so much in support of Trump, but it is in opposition to the Democratic Party.
I agree. And I think it's also in opposition to the libs and the woke and all these right-wing conspiracy theories that we just found out stemmed from Jeffrey Epstein going onto 4chan and starting all these fucking Groyper memes and potentially doing it as an asset of Mossad. So it's like all the shit that you guys were saying.
Yeah, but I just think that's a distraction, to be honest with you.
I don't think so.
I think most people, the standard American.
I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I want more evidence before you're
not going to get it because that's the point of Trump's administration putting it out. William Barr, Donald Barr, William Barr's father, hired Jeffrey Epstein to be a teacher at some high-end school for kids or whatever, like a K through 12. Then somehow William Barr becomes the attorney general. Has these files sitting there, doesn't do anything with them. The Biden administration doesn't do anything with them. Now we're getting them piecemeal, little by little. Yeah,
and we know
after we're supposed to get them heavily redacted.
We know that the redactions too are specifically formulated in a way to protect Donald. Like all of the, I personally believe that they left the stuff in there about Elon. They left the stuff in there about various princesses and Lord Mendelsohn. They let all that stuff in there because it's going to distract from the fact that there's no direct emails from Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. But what there is in those emails is evidence that they were redacting Donald and Trump, like the words Donald and Trump. And that's illegal. They have no reason to do that. Yeah. And so there's evidence in these documents where, like, for example, the word don't was misspelled so that D-O-N space T. And so that D-O-N was registered as Dawn. And it was redacted. You can clearly see. And so, like, I think I
got a question about that. If you're talking about over 3 million pages, right? Mm-hmm. In order to scan all that and to put it into, that's not a perfect process either.
No, 100%. And it's not that I'm saying that, I think that what Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna did by setting a timeline, by setting a deadline and forcing them to meet that deadline, meant that, like you're saying, there's actually like 6 million files, right? Yeah. So we have a team we already know that, because of Doge, they gutted their federal team. They don't have they're not hiring the best.
They're not bringing their best.
They're not
bringing their best.
So we have a team of people who one, don't even have the capabilities to use Adobe correctly because they don't even have the subscriptions.
No, it's obvious. Yeah. No.
So they just didn't do their job well. I don't think it's I think a lot of the times these conspiracies are just people being incompetent. And what's happened is when they pushed these files, they thought that they were mostly redacted, right? They thought that they was going to be fine because, like you're saying, there's imperfect scans. I made a video the other day about that poor girl's diary. And in the diary, the word Ivana Trump was scanned in as a clipping from a magazine. So therefore it doesn't read when you as a word search, right? So if they try to redact the word Trump, they would have missed that. Not only that, does the 16-year-old girl go on to talk about Trump, but she never says his name. She says that man. So it was just not redacted. They missed it. They just straight up missed it.
Let's go back to Obama real quick, though, and how this plays out. Rick Wilson, who former Lincoln Project founder, he was tweeting out that again, this is another case of what Bannon said about distraction. And it's funny. I wonder, if there's anybody really behind this, if there are two people that are orchestrating this, and Trump's not one of them, it's Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what they're trying to do and what they've done successfully. Let me play a little bit of Bannon actually saying this. This is after the 2020 loss and that 4-year period in there. I want to say this happened maybe in the end of 2021, this interview. But Bannon, who is just recently called for nationalizing elections, and we'll talk about that in a minute, what that actually means and why it's unconstitutional. But we'll get to that. I think Bannon really puts his finger on what could happen here, and whether or not we're falling for a bigger ruse.
The opposition party is the media, and the media can only, because they're dumb and they're lazy, they can only focus on one thing at a time. All we have to do is flood the zone. Every day we hit them with 3 things. They'll bite on one, and we'll get all of our stuff done. Bang, bang, bang. These guys will never be able to recover. But we got to start with muzzle velocity. So it's got to start. It's got to hammer. It's got muzzle velocity.
Muzzle velocity. Bannon's insight there is real. Focus is a fundamental substance of democracy. It is particularly the substance of opposition. People largely learn of what the government is doing through the media. So if you overwhelm the media...
A record-setting number of executive orders.
Everybody pardoned. Violence, non-violence.
Including assaulting police officers.
Birthright citizenship. We live in unprecedented times right now.
If you keep it moving from one thing to the next...
So far, so good.
Is this legal?
If you give it too many places it needs to look...
You've never been deported before?
All at once.
All federal grants and loans will be halted.
Look, there is a purge happening.
Frankly, unprecedented in its nature.
Okay, I'm not a conspiracy. I don't buy most conspiracies, but I will bite into this one and say that the fact that Bannon said it out loud, that this is an orchestrated attempt by them to deflect from Epstein, because of all the other things they can handle. Epstein, they can't. Although we'll get to this a little bit later on, there are signs that the evangelical part of MAGA accepts sex with young girls.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
And that's fucking insane.
It is a core part of this country, and it is disgusting. It is a core part of it. And it's one of those things where it's not that pedophilia. Like, we can all say, oh, gross, it's disgusting, pedos, and being a pedo is the worst thing you can be in this country. But it's not like there's not like a good 30% of the country who would love to see age of consent laws rolled back, who would love to be 35-year-old men dating 13-year-old girls. Like, they want to go back to that time. And I think that's what I'm saying with
it's only been in the last 40 years that it changed in states like Alabama, where it was
100%.
years old. Yeah.
And I think, like, you look at, I think Steve Bannon's #1 MO has been to tell us what they're doing straight up, because he knows that we can't do anything about it, right? I mean, look at, and Bannon is in the Epstein Files talking to Epstein about what Trump should do when it comes to, like,
not only Trump, but about what Epstein should do too, to resurrect his image or something. Jeffrey was talking about making a fucking YouTube apology video.
He's gonna pull out the ukulele. He's gonna pull out the ukulele and do a fucking Pauline Ballinger, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I diddled kids.
Have you seen Dershowitz talking about when he said, he goes, yes, there could have been, if there were massages with young girls and other men, it was in other rooms than I was. So I mean, look,
just like,
believe me, this stuff gets right. Every man in the world, okay, has seen a 17-year-old girl who looks 23, right? And then you find normal people go, wow, that's effed up.
Yeah, they go, ooh.
It's David Spade did a joke once about JonBenet Ramsey, and just saying, without all the makeup, she's really not that hot, and everybody laughed. Well, no, but at the heart of what that says, though, is that there really is a huge swath of America that thinks that's okay.
Yeah.
That thinks that sex with underage girl. I think. Well, we all know the Kid Rock song.
Yeah,
maybe we don't all know that, and I didn't know about it. I was going to do a piece on it, and Tony said I've known about that forever. Kid Rock did a song back in 2001. What was the name of it?
It was for a movie called Osmosis Jones.
Yeah,
and he played in the movie he played like a musician or something, and so he made a song for the movie. Yeah. And I'm almost positive I'd have to watch the movie again, but I'm pretty sure the clip of the song that they used in the movie was when he says, young ladies, I like them underage, see. Some call that statutory, but I call that mandatory.
Yeah. And so I know, it's again,
straightforward.
That's the guy. That's the guy doing the All-American Turning Point USA halftime show.
That's right. Nothing more American than
every fucking thing you need to know about who these people are.
And go ahead.
So yeah. So, I mean, obviously, there's so much to talk about here. I mean, we're probably not even going to get to Minnesota, and of course, the autopsy on Alex Preddy said it was a homicide. What's
I
going to
mean,
happen?
so
with
does
that.
the fucking video that we all saw.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well, hold on. Can we stay back? Let me stay on Steve Bannon then, right?
Okay.
So, because like the Steve, I think what we're making a good point there about what Steve is. Bannon says what Trump is going to do eventually, and what is Steve Bannon saying now? Steve Bannon's saying that they're going to send ICE agents to the polling stations.
Yeah.
Right. And to the Alex Preddy thing, it's like, I mentioned this a little bit in the video I made yesterday, that it's clear that the strategy is trying to tie immigration to elections, right? They've been doing that for a long time, trying to say, I hear that from random MAGA people around here in Texas, like, oh, what do you mean you want illegal people voting? You want illegal people voting, right? And so it's just an excuse to get ICE agents to the polling stations to try to intimidate voters. The plan's clear as day.
Trump lost the popular vote by 3 million in 2016,
right.
And in California, most of those popular votes. I'm sorry, he lost it in California. He lost in California by 3 million, and Trump came out and said they were all illegals that voted, which is insane. First of all, like how you would get 3 million people who have absolutely nothing to benefit to go vote, to put their lives on the line there.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. And it, of course, it dovetails into the whole, voter ID debate, which I'm
exactly,
ready, and just so people understand, the Constitution, especially in the Fifth Amendment, but doesn't say anything about having to have an ID to prove who you are. You have to register in every state in this country. In order to register, you got to show, you live here. There's a whole process to that. And the idea that you have to, when I come up to vote, again, I don't have to prove that I'm not breaking the law. It is up to the government to prove that I'm breaking the law, to show probable cause before they can stop me doing something that the Constitution guarantees I can do. I'm tired of that, though, because I hear idiots say, "Oh, you need an ID to buy, pseudoephedrine or whatever," but that's not guaranteed in the Constitution, right? So, but at this point, I'm right. All right, if you want to put federal dollars up so poor people and elderly people can get the right identification, fine. But then now, of course, Trump, who has voted by mail for the last 20 years, right? He wants to get rid of that because he understands that in states like California. And I live in San Diego. I think they say like 70% of the people here vote by mail. 70%. It's insane. It's really high. So, I mean, again, the attempt here is to derail the midterms.
Yeah.
Which right now,
100%.
I mean, there's some people that say, the Democrats.
If you can't win them, rig them.
Yeah, well, there's some of the numbers say the Democrats could win 40 seats in the House.
I mean, they won the way that we flipped. I think you're looking at Texas, right? I mean, not you, but I'm looking at Texas, and I'm realizing, the special election they just had here, right? And it's clear, and I've been saying this for a long time. We do not win. The Democrats will not win elections by convincing Republicans to vote for Democrats.
Right.
We win elections by demoralizing the Republicans to the point where they do not show up. And that is exactly what happened in Texas. We won because,
or getting Democrats to show up who don't normally show up.
100%. Yeah. Neither one of those strategies involve like courting Republicans, right? Yeah. It's truly the point is that like if we can get people not to show up, because like or if like Trump is just ruining stuff to the point where his base hates him, they won't show up, right? But on top of that, I think Trump also and Bannon realizes that the opposite is true. Trump is so polarized that there's no way that people are going to vote for him at this point if they don't already vote for him, right? So I think they realize that the only way that they maintain power is to depress the Democratic vote. They need to intimidate voters in order to get them to not show up come the midterms. And I think they're going to do that with force, with ICE agents.
But sending ICE, which by the way is illegal because that's not what they,
that's not going to stop them though.
Charter to do. All right, but
so is the tax fraud. So was the campaign finance violation. So was everything he probably did with Epstein.
That's not nationalizing elections though. What Trump wants to do is after the elections is the feds come in and take the voting machines and then the feds do the tabulation.
Just like in Georgia, just what he's doing in Georgia.
Except that election's over. He lost.
Yeah, but he wants to do what he's doing in Georgia with modern, like with elections that are happening. Right? He wants to normalize.
The state laws say, and it just takes one Democrat in each one of these 50 states to go to court and say, look, here's the law. Now, again, if the federal courts start ruling that Trump can usurp state laws, then why the 10th Amendment is moot.
Defederalization, yeah, exactly. Right. Like the whole thing is moot. And it's one of those things where it's like, I think that realistically, it's more dire than people are understanding it to be. I know we like always complain about the threats to our democracy, but it is quite literally a major threat to our democracy when we can't trust when we're looking to Donald Trump and the administration to determine what the election results are, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's going to be surprised when Donald Trump and his DOJ or whoever, Tulsi Gabbard, finds out that the Folsom County elections actually went to Donald Trump and Trump actually won. You know, I mean, that's going to come out soon. There's no way that they stole all these ballots, exactly. And then they're going to count them and be like, oh, actually, Trump did lose. Like, that's not going to happen. So, so what are we going to do then? What are we going to do when Trump says, I actually won the 2020 election, right?
We'll do what we do all the time. You know, we'll scream, and then Fox will say, there you go. I honestly really, you know, at some point, I think that, you know, Fox is not just Pravda, right? Which is, you know, an obvious extension of the former USSR, you know, propaganda machine. And he's not Goebbels either. I think what Fox News has transformed is into its own. They have their own agenda, which right now happens to coincide with Trump. But, you know, it's obvious they don't like Trump. We saw those. Remember the emails we saw after January 6th? You know, tell him to shut up. He's screwing everything up. You know, you have Hannity and everybody, Tucker Carlson, the others that they're setting the table for 2029 and what they can do. You know, but it blows my mind. Let me ask you a question. That's a total aside. That's a deep philosophical question. Is Trump really shitting himself in these public appearances and sitting at this table? Have you seen these stories, right? Has his physical progression descended that quickly that he's literally, I mean, if that's true, and you've seen these stories, right? Yeah, I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I've also seen another story. Someone named Sasha Riley, who has made some pretty serious allegations. They are a former I think Iraq and Afghanistan veteran. They claim they were trafficked from the ages of like 9 to 13 to Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump and stuff. And there was the most salacious allegation is that at one point Trump was trying to assault this person and wanted them to do something. And they took a tent pole and shoved it up Trump's rectum, and that is why he wears adult diapers.
That'd be awesome.
That is what was alleged.
That would be awesome.
Look it up. I went down a TikTok wormhole last night. I found
That's
the audio.
in the files.
I don't know if it's in the files. I think it's this person came out like a long time ago and mentioned these things like years ago.
Oh, really?
And now they've been interviewed, and obviously everyone's speculating whether it's true or not or whatever.
Well, like, I mean, to the thing about Trump losing his, I think that's like, I was telling you guys before the meeting, like I have some people in my life who are MAGA, and for the only thing that I've ever seen them change their minds about when it comes to Trump is Epstein. The Epstein Files are the only thing that I've seen them crack that armor, because
that would make sense that all this other stuff is camouflage.
It's camouflage. It makes a lot like I hate the distraction narrative. I'm one of those people that's like,
right, it's a conspiratorial thing.
Anybody who says like, oh, it's a distraction is always thinks they're smarter than they actually are, and that like the thing that they're focusing on is the real thing, and that the thing that you're focusing on is actually
I think we have enough brain span. We're not MAGA. We can focus on more than multiple things at once. Terrible thing that
I'm genuinely against the distraction thing, but I do think that they are like the Trump administration is trying to get us to not focus on Epstein, right? Obviously, you know, we heard Trump being like, Jeffrey Epstein, are we still talking about that?
Talking about Jeffrey
I think that, and that's because I think that there's a base, right? Like, to your main point, Chip, about whether or not this is actually, you know, affecting the way normal people see Trump. I think his day-to-day like meetings, his cognitive decline that you and I may see in his like cabinet meetings, no one cares. I mean, most people do not consume any politics on their day-to-day life. Like, there are a shocking number of Americans who have no idea what is happening in their government, right? And so I don't think that something like his actual behavior or anything that he says, this monkey thing, none of that is going to affect his actual perception. But the Epstein thing is at the core of what we all fear, which is our children and our loved ones being taken away from us and abused by monsters, right? Like it is the number one thing that we all are afraid of. We all watch Dateline,
true crime,
right? And so I think there's this base of normie Republicans who saw Trump as this outside the establishment leader who's going to come and rip everything up and is going to expose, drain the swamp. And they truly believe that because they only consumed a little bit of politics and that's what they heard. But then as we talk about Epstein, it's been such a story for so long that it's starting to leak into the zeitgeist of like the normal people. They're hearing about Epstein. Everybody knows about Epstein at this point. And so the more that we can beat into the narrative that Trump and Epstein are one and the same, right? The worse it is for Trump. I think that's the only thing that's going to stop.
I was talking to Joe Walsh, who was former MAGA congressman, who is now independent, left center. And he was telling me a story about this, and I'm going to play this video from Megyn Kelly. He's telling me a story about when people start talking about Epstein now and they're doing these town halls, they tell a story of the 19-year-old guy who was charged with rape for having sex with his 17-year-old girlfriend. They use that as saying, look, this is basically what happened. And Megyn Kelly went down that road too. Now, Megyn Kelly is a woman I ever on tape calling Trump a sexual predator when she was interviewing Newt Gingrich. This goes back into, I want to say 2015, so 10 years ago. But here, I'm not going to play all this, but I just listen to what she says. She's basically passing along what she heard, but in such a way to give it some meaning and some gravitas. Listen up.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds.
Oh my God.
I realize she's a dumb bimbo garbage piece of shit human being. No, she fucking is. If she said that, she can go fuck it. She can go fuck herself.
Nobody knows. I don't think you know what you're.
I know she's not fucking dumb in the head. Like I know she has a media fucking plan over here, and all these fucking idiots love her. Yeah. But I just want to say that woman going,
Oh, she's also an idiot.
Like what
the proper response there is what the fuck is wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And also that's not true. Like the statement that she's making, that I have some people who know the files and I know that he's on a file. We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, who signed up for Donald Trump's campaign emails with the name pedophile. Like we're talking about a guy who made a joke to Woody Allen about going to a pedophile convention in Paris. Like the dude was a pedophile. There's no way that she had an actual source to tell her that the guy was not a pedophile.
What a fucking what a pussy ass way to go about it. I'm not saying this, but I'm saying someone I know said this.
Disgusting.
Like,
Disgusting.
What voice was that?
I don't know. It's my fucking. I'm so pissed at everyone, and I don't know how to make fun of them without.
Okay, that's along those lines. Okay, we know Dershowitz was there. We know Musk pled to get there. He was trying to get there. And of course,
Elon was trying to get there.
It's interesting.
What a fucking loser that guy is.
First of all,
hi Jeff Wee. Can I come to the island today?
Well, my favorite clip is when he said, "I kept my underwear on." I was like,
oh my God. And then when he doesn't realize that Jeffrey's not talking about a real delegation.
Yeah, he's like, am I R-word?
Am I the R-word? Like, what the fuck?
And people don't remember Dershowitz, he was in the, he admitted after the OJ trial that he didn't believe any of the evidence, that he believed. He totally 180 during the trial. He would just see, and which is what a defense attorney does. I get it. They had the dream team of attorneys, but afterwards he came out and he just trashed Simpson. I'm like, you're supposed to shut up, dude. You're an attorney. But let me just get to this one. So this is the one that Bill Clinton, who
I was just going to say, let's talk about Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton is a hound dog. Okay. James Carvell said, let me go back here real quick if I can. So I was working in D.C. when this broke. I was doing a talk show at WMAL station I started in 93 and I was there to 99 when then I went to Baltimore. When this came, I had this guy named Joe Camerata, who was an attorney for Paula Jones. And so I got to interview Paula Jones. And I found her extremely credible. I believe her story. She told it. Every time she told it, it was the same story. There was a convention, political convention, a small one in Arkansas, I believe Arkansas. And he saw her on a pass to it, met her, and he requested she be sent up to the room. She comes up to him, he comes in, and he drops a shiner on her, and asks her to touch it. And she says no. And then she, but again, this is a guy who's the governor, who you work for. So Camerata tells me this story, right? And I'm with Camerata in the newsroom the night that Clinton goes, I did not have sex with that woman. I never lied and told him I lied. So Clinton, and the reason Clinton was impeached was not because he got a blowjob from Monica Lewinsky, whose name I hate to say because I feel bad.
I know. I feel so bad.
So many ways. But that the reason because he lied to Judge Weber. It was perjury. Right. Yes, he should have been impeached. And I would not have had and I voted for him twice, but I would not have a problem if they had removed him. All right. You can make a strong case that sexual act cost us the election in 2016 because, again, the idiot that he was, Al Gore, did not have Clinton campaign for him because at the time, people forget, his approval rating was through the roof, especially with women during that whole period, because most people saw it as his personal private life between him and Hillary, right? All right, so let's, again, we look back to the 90s, their association with Trump, with many pictures of Hillary and Bill with, Melania, and well, not Melania, but it would be his first wife, because he didn't meet Melania till the late 90s. I want to say that, and that's a whole nother story with Paolo Zampoli and that whole drill and Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell was there at the Kit Kat Club in New York City the night that Trump met Melania.
Yeah.
I mean, and Zampoli was good friends with Epstein.
And didn't she work for the modeling agency?
Yes, that's a guy, Paolo Zampoli. That was his modeling agency. So anyway, when Comer and others were trying to get Bill and Hillary to come and testify, there's nothing, there's no upside for them. Showing up is has a stain on it, right?
Right.
But again, I guarantee you, it was Hillary going, God damn it, we're going to go.
We're doing it. Yeah, 100%.
We're not going to let this guy do this shit to us. So, smart woman that she is, she came out and said, we'll go. Where's Trump? And you saw the interview yesterday, the NBC interview, where, what's the guy's name? Tom, I can't recall his name, interviewing Trump and asked him about that. And he goes, well, I've already been there. I
can't do it. I can't do it.
And we all know, what he said. And the guy can't do a deposition to save his ass because the two depositions he's done, one, he said that he goes, oh, I wouldn't have raped her. She wasn't my type. Right. Mm-hmm. And he'd said that before, going, she wouldn't be the chosen one, talking about a woman who said he groped her on a plane. And then, of course, he took the fifth 112 times.
Yeah. After his lawyer was like, you idiot, shut the hell up.
So look, so we have this, if Trump doesn't testify, I mean, this is one that you just have to come out and say, if anybody should testify, 5,300 times in this latest batch, but over 10,000 mentions so far in the files, this guy has to go before Congress.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's a power move. I think it's a power move from the Clintons, right? Like, they knew that it was a political, like, dragging them out in front of Comer was a political move, right? Which is why they didn't show up the first time. They knew for a fact. It's the same thing with Donald Trump and Melania threatening to sue Michael Wolff. It's like, Michael Wolff is like, do it, right? Like, take me to discovery. Clintons are like, Bill Clinton knows that there's no way they can force Bill Clinton to testify and only Bill Clinton gets in trouble. There's no way, right? He has so much information on all of these people that there's no way that they can force him to do it. So when he didn't show up and they were going to hold him in contempt, like, I think that was a bluff. But I think you're right. I think Hillary Clinton was like, no, this is, let's take this to the thing, right? Now, I don't know what the testimony is going to, I think we're going to be a little bit disappointed in what the actual testimony is going to be. I get the feeling that they're going to plead the fifth a lot. I get the feeling they're going to be pretty vague when it comes to details. But I am curious because it seems like Virginia Fox, it seems like Comer, we're not expecting them to come to.
Yes, right.
Yeah, there seem to be.
Well, they'll drag Juanita Broaddrick out. Do you remember her?
Mm-mm.
Juanita Broderick is a woman who claimed that Bill Clinton raped her.
Oh, okay.
Of course, she changed her story 7 times over 6 months. I mean, dramatic changes, like where it happened, how it happened. So first there was somebody there, and then it was obviously a lie. And she's become a popular figure on the right wing talk circuit. But they'll bring out everything. They'll bring out Monica. They'll bring out the impeachment. It wasn't a partisan vote either in the Senate that day. There were a lot of Republicans that voted, not a lot, but a significant number, enough to vote to show that, this was not what we wanted to do, even though, it's not like what Trump did, obviously. And, so again, that's with Epstein and, where this thing moves forward. The last I heard, they're not going to release any more documents.
They say that they're done. Yeah, they say that they're done, which is like, I mean, there's lots of consequences to this. Like, for example, they said they have no co-conspirators, that Epstein only trafficked to himself.
Yeah, Patel said that, and it was total bullshit.
He perjured himself. I mean, that was a lie. It's a straight up lie. There's tons of people in this that should have charges. And the interesting,
you got to watch out for Patel.
We're going to come after the people in the media.
Well, I'll see him Valhalla, brother. We will ride together.
Oh my God.
By the way, you're watching the Really American podcast with Chip, Kenny, and Tony, which sounds like a hacky sack team, but actually we're members that post on Really American Media, and we hope you subscribe to our channel. We just passed our 1 million mark. We're real happy about that.
Thank you, guys.
These guys, mostly right to my left and right, who do the heavy lifting. But I mean, with the whole Epstein files and what's there, they did release the thing about Trump having oral sex with an underage girl. And of course, Blanche, by the way, who is the deputy attorney general, who was Trump's personal attorney, having him. This is
For
like
all the people who complain about a rigged justice system and all the shit that Trump had to go through because the Democrats were targeting him and because the whole system was rigged. It's like
asking a 9-year-old to punish himself.
Yeah. So holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know where Epstein's headed right now, but it seems to me that they have been partially successful and deflecting a lot of it. But there are more files, and the question is, why can't they be released? And the redactions, the photo. There's been, we've already seen the stuff that they released and then redacted, and you go, well, why would you do that? What is behind that? Again, the incompetency is just staggering. That they foobarred this whole thing so badly. I mean, I'm saying if you're on MAGA side, we like it. We like it when they screw up because it allows us to see exactly, how malevolent their intent was from the beginning.
Right.
I think there's a lot to what's that? I don't know. Was it Occam's razor? I can't remember what it's like.
Occam's razor. Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is malicious. Like I think that at this point, it's so clear. Like you're saying, dude. Like he has his own lawyer as the deputy attorney general. Like it is so clearly malicious and so clearly like. I hate to say the word conspiratorial, but like an actual conspiracy. Like they're actually talking to each other, obviously behind the scenes, in order to like make sure that the truth doesn't come out because they know that the truth is going to be damning. And the little bit that they gave us about the in the files that either are redacted poorly or were unredacted are so damning that I think that, there's a fundamental shift happening, I think, underneath all of this where, because I hate to get into the stuff that we did bad, right? Because obviously most of the stuff in the files is surprise, Republicans. But Noam Chomsky's in there. I was reading some stuff about
Chopra. I mean,
Deepak Chopra's in there. Reid Hoffman's in there. People who are ostensibly on the left. And on top of that, man, I did a deep dive. I was doing what Kenny did the other day while I was watching our numbers click over a million. So thank you everyone again for that. But I was looking into how Epstein was involved in the 2012 Senegalese election and how the president at the time tried to pull like a South Korea, like I'm going to be the dictator, like run a third term, and it failed. A populist left-wing a leader was elected in 2012 and then arrested the corrupt son of the ex-president. The corrupt son of the ex-president was a personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein, and there's tons of emails that with lawyers and Epstein, where Epstein is trying to get the corrupt son out of prison and before he goes in prison, about him and the son on islands and stuff, but trying to get the corrupt son out of prison. And what they did was they had, oh man, I cannot remember his name, Democratic Socialist from California, black guy. God damn.
Democratic Socialist in the Bay Area?
Uh,
State rep?
No.
In Congress.
Congress. He's the first socialist in Congress.
It's got to be in the Bay Area. Yeah. Or LA.
Anyway, what they had is they have him write a letter for the Hill. And in the letter for the Hill, they're explaining, they basically, like, Jeffrey Epstein and his team drafted this letter and sent it to, and got the congressman to say that he wrote the letter, and they posted it in the Hill. And the letter was about how the new, left-wing government in Senegal is like violating the human rights of the corrupt son, and they got him out of prison. And I'm like, bro, what? This is like a democratic socialist politician who's writing who's pseudo publishing a letter that Jeffrey Epstein wrote in order to get a fucking pedophile out of prison in Senegal. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Well, you know what, Tony, it sounds to me like, we're learning more about Jeffrey Epstein and things that we just had no idea, which makes sense.
Ron Dellums. Sorry, Ron Dellums.
If I said to you, Matthew Crook, do you know who that is?
No.
The guy who shot
Trump. I mean, we don't know anything about people. We should know a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with Epstein, I mean, I'm always like quick to put the brakes on, because it's easy to accelerate these things when we all get going, right? I mean,
Right.
and if he was involved with Mossad or any of this other stuff, and trying to get information on. I mean, remember, Jonathan Pollard was a spy for Israel against the United States and went to prison for a long time for it, right? Like, he just got out in the last few years. So we do spy on each other, right? And that's understandable in a lot of ways. You want to know, especially if you're Israel. We can go down that rabbit hole another time. But
Sure.
where we are right now is I mean, this is we came this close to possibly going to war with NATO in Greenland, right? And it could still happen. Something horrible like that could happen. Although I don't think Trump has the balls now, or the support. And that brings me back again to Tim Scott and this picture of the AI of putting Obama and Michelle's face on these apes. Scott said it's the most racist thing to come out of there. Again, you have to ask yourself, when you look at the only way to remove Trump from office is to get 20 Republicans in the U.S. Senate to vote to remove him.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, because it's the 25th Amendment's not going to work. But removing him, and you know what, you giggle, but I really do believe that you start to go down that list, and you start doing the Collins and Murkowskis and the Tillis, and then you get down to a point where you go, if you had 16 or 15 or 14, could you then start looking at people like Hawley? Hawley doesn't like him, and Hawley's disagreed with him recently. Ted Cruz, Cruz freaking hates the guy, no matter what he says, right? If they got together, it's like the American president, when they're counting votes and they're going back and forth and trying to figure out if they have enough votes, and they're stealing votes from this guy. I believe that the Republican Party wants him gone. They're all just afraid, and they're afraid to form a union, to talk, because somebody will leak it, even a meeting. And of course, Bannon and Miller, if there's anybody that has, entrails into conspiracies, it's these two guys.
Yeah.
They're horrible people, and they don't give a shit about the democracy.
They're fundamentally they don't believe in democracy.
Right.
They genuinely don't believe.
They said it out loud.
Yeah, they said it out loud. And I think generally, the Republican Party understands that Trump is an existential crisis, that there is no Republican Party after Trump. Because after Trump, there might not be a democracy. There might not be a need for political parties. So I agree with you. Like, I think behind the scenes, a lot of the Republicans who, at their core, are corrupt politicians, but they believe in democracy, right? They want to live their lives as politicians and live that life. They don't want to be like necessarily ideologues who like fundamentally think that the republic needs to exist as something else, whereas Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller do. And I think Trump is just an idiot and is just going to take whatever people tell him. Like, he seems like somebody who, we saw how he acted when Mamdani got in his ear. All of a sudden he just flipped, right? He truly is the kind of person who the last person to speak to him is his opinion. You know what I mean?
That's the truth. Yep. All right, let's take a left turn here, even though all of these have entrails into each other, right? Let's talk about the economy and talk about when Jerome Powell leaves the Fed. Now, let's just try to do this in a non-wonkish way for people here. I know most people watching this probably understand the Fed in sort of a vague sort of notion. What the Fed does, right? So banks lend money, right? You come in, you want a loan, they lend you money, they send the money. And obviously banks have to have money to lend. In some cases, and there's a limit to that. They have to keep some in surplus. When they get close to that, they'll borrow from another bank. And the interest rate that they borrow from each other banks, instead of the government, because the government doesn't want to borrow, they don't want to lend the money. They want the banks lending it to each other. The interest rate the Fed sets up is the interest rate they have to charge each other in these loans. Okay. So if you lower the rate to a point where banks can borrow more money at lower rates, that means they can lend more money. That means more money into the population for people to spend. And it's not going to be 2020 again, where we had the PPP money that just went out of trillions of dollars. But you saw what happened then. Inflation went insane. Okay. Now, there's inflation and then there's stagflation. And inflation generally tells you that the economy's roaring. But when the economy roars, prices go up too high. People can't buy shit. Companies that used to sell that shit that people will buy have to cut people off. And then you fall into this thing called stagflation, right? Which is what we had in the 70s. I bought a car in the 1970s with a 19% interest rate. Okay. It was insane. So that can happen again. Now, again, trying to explain what I just said to you is a long kind of awkward explanation to people that you're talking to on an elevator about economics. But what could happen, that could still happen, because the tariffs, the lie that Trump talks about, he said recently brought in $20 trillion in tariffs, which of course is an astronomical lie. You're bringing in billions in tariffs, but they're charging us back and those prices are going up, and you're seeing record layoffs. Amazon's laying off 60,000 people. It's like that. I mean, and Walmart's laying off people. And even though they promise they're doing the best they can, they have stockholders they have to answer to.
At some point, you can't keep eating those tariff costs. They're going to have to start.
So you have, and then the other part of this that kind of fits into the economy is immigration. There's a place near me that we used to go to the car wash, and it's closing down because the people there. And again, I live on the border of Mexico, essentially, and I have, I've been here for 20 years, and I've had countless interactions with Mexicans, and I guarantee you, every person I've met was looking for work or had work. Some of the finest people I've ever met in my life, and it's unbelievable to see what's happening to them, afraid to leave their homes now. And we had the ice in San Diego the other day. But, you go here, when we start taking the core of the Central Valley of California,
right?
And one of the things you've noticed, they haven't had ice in the Central Valley, not like everywhere else, because that is one of the few things that keeps our trade balance even close to being, normal. If you cut the production of food, that is a staple of our trading surplus in the world, then we're going to have a recession / depression.
100%. Yeah, I mean, you saw them they were doing raids on farms and stuff, and on those Tyson chicken things a few months ago, and then they immediately pivoted to going into blue cities because they realized quite soon how much of our economy is propped up by underpaid labor. And I think at the end of and really
hilarious, because that's Trump's entire fucking MO for his entire business.
He loves underpaying. He doesn't pay his bills for shit. And the whole thing is like, realistically, like, as Democrats or leftists or whatever, we have to decide, like, are we going to keep kicking the can down the road? Are we going to keep replacing the Band-Aid? Or are we actually going to solve the problem, which is at the end that our economy is propped up by labor of migrant labor, that we do not have a solution that involves actually giving these people papers, because if we did that, it would fundamentally shift the economy in a way that nobody's willing to do. I mean, a lot of short-term pain for a lot of long-term gain, but like nobody is willing to actually say what we need to do, which is amnesty. We need to give amnesty.
Entirely. We need that. We need a path to citizenship. 100%. Reagan said this in the 80s.
In the 80s, Reagan said this.
Reagan said this.
And again, it's like, and it's like
that clip all the time. I apologize for not having it right now, but Reagan said this. And here's the deal. I mean, they put $96 billion in 2023. Undocumented people put $96 billion into Social Security and Medicare that
Didn't
they
get a damn thing for it.
Yep.
Imagine if we had taxes on them. Like here's the killer. Here's the killer about this. If you made them citizens, I freaking guarantee you, 3/4 of them would be Republicans.
They would. They would. A lot of people are fucking Republicans. A lot of these, and the thing is, that the irony of it is, it's like, okay, you want to get the criminals out, right? The best way to get criminals, right? The best way to sort through the illegal immigrants who are here is to say everyone is amnesty. Come to the office, get your papers. When you come to the office and you get your papers, you do a background check. Right. It's very simple. It's very fucking simple. And then you have a period of time, and if they didn't do it in that period of time, and then you're going to have to go with the other system. You know what I'm saying? Like,
here's the problem, though, 100%. And it goes back to our very first story today. They're not white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump said it. He's come out and he says, Somalia, what a mess. They're disgusting people. How come we can't get more immigrants from Sweden or Norway?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not even, I mean, of course, today was not a surprise to anybody that's been paying attention. If you just joined us, I'm of course speaking to the images, the AI images that Trump sent out last night of Michelle and Barack Obama's faces put onto apes, and it's
like literally gorillas and monkeys. Like,
and it's funny.
I mean, you see it obviously in the first term.
Oh, by the way, real quick, the Megyn Kelly thing that I played earlier, I have Megyn Kelly actually defending blackface. Do you remember that story?
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't fucking shock anybody.
I mean, you saw the Muslim ban in the first term, right? Obviously, only from brown countries, the shithole comments. But then, obviously, in this second term, with the immigrants from South Africa, open arms. Let's roll out the red carpet, right?
For the whiteys.
But the white people, it's fine if you come from white countries or if you're white immigrants. But if you're brown immigrants or Asian immigrants or black immigrants, all of a sudden you're criminals and you need to get rounded up. I mean, it is as clear as day. As clear as day.
I think it's interesting to look at what these midterms and obviously the economy is going to be a huge part of this as we roll. Mm-hmm. Epstein will be another. ICE, of course, and what they've done, and the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, and there have been more shootings. There was 2 people shot in Arizona by ICE. They pulled out some in Minnesota. Let me ask you this, guys. What do you give Kristi Noem? Another month?
I don't think she's going to leave. I don't think they're going to kick her out.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
She's obviously.
I spoke to Ken Klippenstein about this too. I was like, because he has like all these internal sources at the DHS, and I was like, is Kristi Noem going to get fired? And he kind of danced around the question, but I do get the sense that like the rank and file absolutely fucking hate her. They think she's the worst thing ever, but a lot of the top brass, it seems like the chaos is kind of the point, as is the cruelty. And so we made a joke where I was like, I really don't know what screams chaos and incompetence and, being a terror agency more than having your head honcho be puppy murderer Kristi Noem.
Number one. Yeah. It's just like, why would they fire her for doing what they wanted her to do?
Let me
say, and she's taking the shit. And then Trump is
eating it. Yeah. They're not going to fire her. The same reason why it's the rotating villain. They just shifted out. They'll switch out Greg Bovino with Tom Homan, and they'll switch him out with Kristi Noem. It's the same thing as cancel culture, right? You can only get canceled by your base, right? We can be mad at Kristi Noem all who we want. We can demand that she get fired. But it's not until Donald Trump and his in-group decide that Kristi Noem is doing the wrong thing, and then she's going to get fired. But if we're upset with her, with the way that she's been running DHS, that's because of us. That's not because of him. He loves the way that she's running it. So there's no way that that she's going to get fired. I don't think so. I think they're just going to like try to let it
Um,
blow over.
Obviously, the tariffs have affected our allies and our relationship with NATO, not just NATO, but Canada, of course, is trying to find ways to protect themselves economically, and also the possibility of God knows what. Look,
we got pulled out of the nuclear deal, so yeah.
If there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about, and I think that people watching this, a lot of people have the sense of like, what the hell can I do? What can I do? I mean, people get, they go online, they get bumper stickers, they put signs in their front yard, all of which my wife and I do, right? And I wonder, as people watch this, I mean, to have this conversation with a Trumper, what would you say? And I would, honestly stay. I mean, to me, the Epstein story is they've deflected it really well, and since they control the release, I think they did it in such a manner. They did it on a Friday afternoon, although, it didn't.
When Melania was taking over the theaters by storm.
No one would be home to read the Epstein Files because we're all at the movie theater.
Yeah, I can't. I will watch that when it comes on Netflix. I gotta.
I gotta watch it on.
I'd rather blow my fucking brains out.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna watch. Give them money. I mean,
I think money, but if it's on Netflix,
Yeah, I'll watch. I think that, like, to your question though, I mean, what would you say to a MAGA person? I think that the best thing to do is
by the way, we should close every show like this. Like, tell people like,
what you actually can do in your life. Because I feel that way. I feel frustrated. I feel like I've called my reps and, but there's not much you can do. Right. So I think that realistically, there's two things. You can obviously, like, the most important thing ever is like your local community. Right. So like making sure if you can donate or like you work for people to like provide daycare services or like healthcare services, all that kind of stuff. Like there's obviously lots of local community stuff that you should be able to like engage in first, because at the end of the day, like, that safety net, that like cultural community safety net is what's going to stop that, the national stuff from really like destroying your life specifically. But on top of that, I think that if you're actually trying to change people's minds when it comes to MAGA, the only way to change people's minds are to hit them at their home. And at their home, the things that matter are like bills and like being able to afford like groceries and being able to afford healthcare and send your kids to school. But also, like, the Epstein stuff matters, because when you send your kids to school, you don't want them to get recruited into some sex fucking cult. And so like talking to them about how, like, I always say is that we need adults in the room. Enough is enough. Like, I think at some point, like, the government is supposed to be clearing our roads and fixing our potholes and providing like fast and clean and internet and clean water and stuff like that, right? They're not doing that, and they're spending all their fucking time telling us what bathrooms we can use and like and trying to tell you what vaccines are safe and whatever, you know what I mean, like bullshit. And I think what's been most effective in my life is trying to get people to realize that politicians in general, the establishment, if you want to call it that, is not vested in your safety or health or like, at all in your life. And I think that now is the time to be like, don't you want something different? Don't you want a Zoran Mamdani who's going to be like, let's get daycare and childcare?
At the very least, Mamdani will get everybody talking. And, I mean, I don't agree with everything he says, but I do think that he's got good ideas that he's putting on a platform for us to discuss.
It's honest. Yeah. It's honest. It's like it's totally genuine. And it's
I agree. And I feel the same with Omar. I think that I love the way that Ilhan came after that guy. She came out. She was going to hit the guy in the face. I love it.
Yeah.
And I disagree with a lot of what she says about the Middle East, but I love the fact that this country we have enough strength, and we've had this, and I still think we'll get through this. I really do, to be able to handle it all. If I'm so close to the border, and I ran into a group of women, and there was a band called the Resistors, and they play, and I said, well, let's put together a fundraiser, and the money will go to two things. One, to help get food out to people who are afraid to leave their homes and can't work, and we're seeing that down here.
Yeah,
this is a great thing they do. They go down to where the detention centers are, and the people have little commissaries and stuff, and they throw their information in a capsule over the wall, and these people grab and get it, and then go put money in their commissary account.
That's insane.
It's insane. So we're going to do a concert on June the 5th, and it's not a huge concert. It's like 400 or 500 people, but we should be able to raise like $10,000, $15,000.
Yeah.
And it's something that, that we can do to help people. Again, I mentioned this before about the Mexicans, and I know it's not just Mexicans too. There's Guatemalans and Hondurans who are here, by the way, because what we did in the 80s.
Exactly.
We went down, usurped their democratic governments, put in dictators so our businesses could go down there. That was the whole Iran-Contra bullshit. That's what all happened. And we totally fucked up Central America for 2 generations.
Still doing it. Look at Venezuela.
Seriously.
Yeah, exactly, with Venezuela, which is South America. And
the American way.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, I guess the last point I wanted to bring up is how long are we going to continue to talk about crypto? For those that don't know
until Trump's crypto wallets are completely fucking empty.
For those that don't understand crypto, let me kind of explain. And if you went to the
Economics 101 from Chip.
All right, hold on. If you went to the bank to get if everybody went to the bank at the same time, but they had to run on a bank, there wouldn't be enough money there, right? And the truth is that if we had a dystopian moment where society broke down, money would just be pieces of paper. Ask the Confederacy in 1875, right? Or 1890, excuse me. And go back and look and see what happens. It's just paper without confidence. Okay. Crypto was trying to usurp the confidence we have in the dollar with their currency, which is a crazy combination of blockchain technology and trust me,
trust me, bro.
And it's dropped $1.5 trillion in value recently. And gold will start falling again. And when Powell is replaced and Trump puts a guy in who's going to lower interest rates. So at the end of the day, you have a thing called confidence. Are you confident about America's future and moving forward? The Dow is up today, which shows you 800 points, I think, yesterday. It shows you how most, again, only about 30% of Americans have any real money in the stock market. 70% of the people don't. So these mean nothing to most people. When you hear stock numbers up, whether it's the Dow, S&P, or NASDAQ, it really means very little to the average American. And what really matters is the numbers you talk about: unemployment, which is affected by inflation, and of course Trump is fucking with all that. So, I mean, that's what I would try to explain to a Trump person. I'd say, give me a half an hour, and let me explain to you how the economy is, how macroeconomics work. Janet Yellen, the former head of the Fed, said Trump had no concept of it, none at all, and it is kind of like trying to park an aircraft carrier on a dime. It's very difficult.
Right.
Our economy. But that's, I think, they're going to push aside. They're going to say, I just don't believe the Epstein stuff. Right. I mean, they wouldn't believe a video. I really believe, but numbers, their own jobs, they get it. I mean, if you work for Amazon, you're getting it right now. And a lot of those jobs were in California. So that's what I would do. I mean, that's how I would deal with a person that's still with Trump. What about you, Kenny? I mean,
I was going to agree. I think that ties it all together, where it's like my main, I guess, MO or like argument at this point, because, you can only yell at MAGA and make fun of them so much, which I do endlessly anyway. But really, it's seeing these things where it's giant corporations and 5 or 6 elite wealthy billionaires siphoning up all of the wealth. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, a bunch of other people, corporations getting massive tax breaks while your healthcare gets taken away, while you can't hold down a job. Corporations just lay people off because it makes their numbers look good. They buy their own stock that you can't afford. By
the way, when there's mass unemployment and when you start seeing people being laid off, what does the stock market do? It goes up.
Way up.
That's all you have to know.
Right. But then let's take this, right? Let's take the economy and then let's link it right to the Jeffrey Epstein billionaire pedophile ring that is running a lot of things around the world, and especially in this country. And it is a problem that MAGA has been yelling at the rooftops for a long time. Just turns out they were pointing the wrong direction. But all of that stuff, it's just like, look, hey, buddy, I know we disagree. We probably will never get along, but we probably also have a lot more in common than even I would like to admit.
Yeah.
But right now, this isn't a fucking left or a right thing. This is an us versus them being the 1% and the corporations that have run this country and our lives into the ground. Whether you're a freaking hardcore radical leftist or a commie, Marxist, neoliberal, whatever, or the most diehard Trump fan. You are getting screwed. You have been, and it's by the same people, and it always has been.
Top 1% owns 50% of the nation's wealth.
And that's only going to increase unless we do something to stop it.
I agree.
And
All right, this has been the Really American Podcast, and we want to remind you guys, please, to subscribe on our Really American YouTube channel. Follow us all over wherever you see this. We're bouncing everywhere. Again, that's Tony Hinderman, Kenny Hess. I'm Chip Franklin. We do this each week, and we'll see you again on YouTube at Really American. Thanks a lot, guys.